Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I talk over a game. And I think it was the last episode or the episode before that where I was talking about how there aren't really many books out there for people with ADHD, or well, there are plenty for ADHD and autism, to be honest. At least when I go look at bookstores, there are plenty of books about that, and none really, aside from the one that I mentioned last time, that are actually for ADHD, like the crossover thing. But I went looking and I found a book which I think is at the very least helpful. It is called How to Keep House While Drowning by K.C. Davis. I'll put it on the screen. I'll keep it there so you can write it down at your own leisure. And the subtitle is A Gentle Approach to Cleaning and Organizing. Now, this book doesn't necessarily try to explain what ADHD is or anything like that, but what it really does is it goes into different things that you may have trouble keeping up with in regards to cleaning and care, self-care, that type of thing. The chapters are really short, they're very much to the point. Also goes into explain on how if you're behind on something that doesn't really say anything about you morally, it's just a thing that didn't happen. Like, it's not something that you can point at and say this makes you a bad person, like that type of thing. I think that's a good thing for a lot of people to hear who are in a similar situation, because I know a lot of people who have this type of neurodivergency tends to have issues keeping things under control at the house, among other places. I am currently at chapter 6. Just finished one about how to, I guess, sort through things. Oh no, this one was about self-talk. Chapter 4 is about sorting things out, tidying methods, that type of thing. And that actually interests me a lot because I have a lot of stuff and I don't have a lot of places to put them. And this is also kind of where I tend to disagree a little bit with this chapter. It starts off kind of handy, like, oh yeah, there are like 5 categories for the items that are laying around your house. There is trash, there is dishes, there's laundry, so that's the first 3. And then there are things that have a place to be, but they're not in their place. And there are things that need a place and don't have one. And then it suggests you go ahead and put these things in giant stacks, effectively, not giant stacks, but just go around a certain corner of your place and then just go and sort all these into 5 different categories. Like the trash goes in the trash, the dishes go in the dishwasher or your sink, depending on how you do your dishes. Laundry goes in the laundry basket, that type of thing. And then you're left with those other 2 categories to put things away or give them a space. Now, if you're anything like me, then that section gets to be a little problematic because I don't have any space. The space that I'm supposed to put things in is already filled with other things that are exactly that same type of category. I have cabinets, I have wall cabinets, I have cupboards, I have totes, boxes, bags, all these different things where I could put stuff or where things could logically go. But they're already full with that same type of thing, like I said. And then also I have an added issue with if I put something in a drawer or something like that, then yes, it's no longer visible when somebody comes walking into the house. But because I don't see it, I tend to forget that it's there. I'll know that I have an item like that somewhere, but since I don't know where it is, I can't get to it. And then I'll just go out and get another copy of it. Like, for instance, my electric toothbrush the other day started complaining that it wanted a fresh brush head. And then I'm standing in front of the mirror and I'm thinking, I know I have them somewhere. I bought at least 2 packs of them. Where did they go? No idea. So probably I'll just have to go and get a new one because I'm not going to spend however long trying to figure out where I put it this time. And if I hadn't just stumbled across them yesterday, I probably would have bought a new one. And most of the cupboards and things are filled with items that I got at some point, forgot where they were, know that I have them, can't find them, buy new things, and then put them away somewhere similar, forget those, buy new things. Basically, my entire house is full of really useful just-in-case items, but I just don't have a good spot for it because I can't see them. I don't know where they are. But what this book does make me do, then, is consider my storage situation, and I'm reading this really short chapter because they're all really, really short chapters, like 2 or 3 pages max, so you can get through it pretty quickly. And I'm thinking, okay, so this is not exactly how I would do it, but how could I do it in a way that it would be good for me? Like, I like skincare. I used to have my computer desk almost half covered in different types of skincare things. Next to me, I had this old sewing supplies kit. This really big wooden box with those little drawers that you can kind of lift and open to the side. and it forms like a V-shaped thing. They have this big section at the bottom that is for things that you use rarely, and then you have the couple of smaller sections on top of that for things that you use a little bit more regularly and things you use all the time, like the top two drawers are for them. And I thought, you know what, that thing is full of crafting supplies that I never use. I didn't get rid of them because I thought it would be a waste to throw things away that I could potentially use sometime in the future. But meanwhile, it's sitting there. It's a rather large box, and it's full of things that I'm not actually using. And here I have a desk full of things that I actually use, but I can't really put them anywhere because everywhere else is full. So I thought, okay, I'm clearing out all of the crafting supplies. I'm going to sort them into things like want to keep and will probably never use. And since most of them are really cheap because I got most of my crafting supplies from the Action, I didn't feel too bad about getting rid of those things that I never really use, and that cleared up a lot of space. The things that I did figure I was going to use or need at some point in the future has gone to the paper stash in the attic because that's where all my paper stuff is currently. And instead of going to the paper stack next and going, okay, now I have all this stuff that needs to go into this stack, how shall I sort out this paper stack and then find things in there that probably go to a different category, walk over to that spot and go, how do I sort this out? I was like, okay, I'm just going to stick to one thing at a time. I'm going to remove all the crafting supplies from the sewing box, put all my skincare stuff into the sewing box, clear my desk, put the stuff that came from the sewing box either in the trash or it goes in the attic, and then I'm not going to think about that for a while because that's for another day. But at least then my desk is relatively cleared. My skincare stuff is put somewhere where I have immediate access because it's right next to where I normally sit. I know where everything is. I use it regularly enough that I open those things up, the little hatches, almost daily, so I don't lose track of the fact that it's there. So that's like a win-win situation. And if I hadn't been reading the book, I wouldn't really have thought too much about it. I just kept looking at the stuff on my desk and go, oh my god, I have so much stuff, maybe I should just dump some of this stuff out. But the thing with skincare is that it's quite expensive. You don't really want to do that. And I also regularly like to look for new skincare things with different ingredients that I hadn't considered before. So I'm also adding to the bunch as well. So without a place to really put it where I know it's going to be and where I'm going to continue to know where it is, it was just going to stay like that, like a status quo. A skincare status quo. What I was trying to say is if I hadn't read the book, I wouldn't have thought about that and everything would have stayed the same. So there are plenty more chapters in here that I think are interesting for a lot of us to consider. It gives you food for thought, and maybe you are exactly like the person who wrote this and all this advice is great for you. In any case, it's great inspiration. I think you should give it a try. And I think the main good thing about the book, aside from the very short chapters, is that it doesn't judge you or say that you should be doing it this way. It just goes, okay, well, here's something you could do. It might work for you. Maybe you want to adapt it a little bit. It's okay if it doesn't work. It's okay if it only works some of the time. It's okay if you only really do one bit a day or something. Be gentle with yourself as you go through it. The entire book is 143 pages. That does include the introduction and stuff like that. Personally, I always skip the introduction because I find with reading books in particular, I have to pick up a book and then I skip the introduction because as soon as I stop reading that day when I buy the book, I put it down. There's an almost 95% chance I'm not going to pick it up again. So always skip the parts that you don't really want to read if you're like that. Because nobody says you have to read the introduction, so why waste your time if you know you have limited energy to do things like that? But yeah, so basically in short, last time I complained that there aren't really any good books on AuDHD, and the one that I picked up in particular wasn't very good for us at all because it kind of just explained autism and it explained ADHD and then did a couple of stories about, I guess, a couple of people that had similar neurodivergencies, but it didn't really say this is what it is and this is how you can handle it. But this book, I think, comes a lot closer to that. So if you were looking for something, then How to Keep House While Drowning might be a good idea to pick up. It'll give you some good ideas, some good hints and tips and stuff like that. And before you know it, you might have a cleaner house than you ever thought possible. So those were my thoughts on the book. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you guys. I always say that. It's not a lie. I always want to hear what's going on with you guys. How are you handling things? Have you read this book? Are you going to try it out? Let me know if you do pick it up and you've read some chapters, how it has actually helped you, if at all, because I don't know if it's going to help you, but I hope it will. Sounds good so far. And that is it for today. I want to thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time, and bye-bye for now.